we've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All-Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. This is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to SHI Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey. Brendan Gulick and Anthony Moeglin with you, part of Buckeye Breakdown, the podcast associated with BuckeyesNow on Fan Nation. And Anthony, we're talking injury updates here for just a moment. The reality is we don't have firm diagnoses to give, but we can tell you that Cade Stover was available to play today. Ryan Day acknowledged that, said that if they needed to play him, truly needed him, he was available to go in. I actually saw him warming up for the second half well before the rest of the team, and I thought he was going to get in the game. He's obviously playing, or I should say practicing with a big, heavy brace on his right knee, played through that injury last week at Wisconsin. I really thought the way he was warming up, we were going to see Cade in the game, and ultimately he did not get out there. I think the Buckeyes missed him, frankly. We'll talk defensive injuries in a moment, but I thought Cade's presence out there was really missed.
Yeah, it's funny to say that too, because G. Scott catches the touchdown, and it was a great catch.
Yeah, he played fine.
For sure. But I totally agree with you. I think, and I've said it a number of times, I think Cade Stover is one of the better players on this team in terms of being an overall football player. Like, he is as physical as it gets when he's run blocking or even pass blocking, and he's such a freaky athlete at his body size and the way he's built, the way that he's able to catch the football and run and make guys miss. He is certainly a guy who you can tell when he's not available and when he's not in the game. With that said, I think that one of the things that's proven by injuries is just the incredible depth that Ohio State has. Really, and we'll get into the defensive side of the ball, but like, it's just always so impressive to me because you get to this point in the season, you're into November. Every team that goes out on the field on Saturday is hurt. Like, there's guys missing for every team. Every player is hurt. They always say the last time you're 100% is the first day of camp. So everyone's beat up and hurt. And it's just amazing to me every year after year when Ohio State comes out late in the year and their backup guys and their reserve players are equally good or if not better than the competition still. It's always so impressive to me, and it showed again today. Yeah,
really important for the guys filling in those shoes to go out and play well. And G. Scott didn't have a perfect game, had a wide open drop pass, and I think he also had a couple of blocks that he wished he had back. But he played fine. He was fine. So that was not it wasn't a massive hole for the Buckeyes. It's just Cade Stover cemented himself, I think, as probably one of the 5 or 6 best tight ends in the country. And so when you're missing a guy who is that good and who has developed himself as a pass catcher the way Cade has the last year or so, you're going to miss that option.
And you think about it too, on a day where Kyle was struggling a little bit, not bad. He didn't play bad by any means, but on the day where he just didn't have his A stuff, I've said it a number of times, like, a tight end is legitimately a quarterback's best friend. And when you start getting into, potentially not playing your best, or you're getting to a little rut, or you're coming off a turnover, whatever it may be, you're looking for your guys. You're looking for your tight end who you're comfortable with, who's going to catch everything and get in the way of the ball. So, that's another thing to kind of keep in mind too. And like, hey, he's so important not only to the team, but he's so important to Kyle McCord. And on a day where McCord didn't have his A game, that certainly played a factor in it, missing a guy like Cade Stover.
Defensive side of the ball, obviously Josh Proctor got hurt in game. That was tough, right? I thought Josh played a fabulous first half. I mean, he was everywhere and made plays in the backfield, made plays in the secondary. His aggressiveness today, it's always his best trait, I think. It's also sometimes his Achilles heel, but today he made it work in his favor, and I just thought Josh played about as well as we've seen him play in stretches. Stinks that he got hurt. The good news is, again, I saw him on the sideline. He went into the medical tent. I would deduce that if he had a concussion, that he would not have been walking around on the sideline in a loud environment, as active as he was. So I'm encouraged in that he didn't seem to be overly injured. He walked off the field under his own power. It's not like he was, working on a bad leg or a bad ankle or something like that. He never had his helmet in his hands again, but I mean, he was active, walking around with his teammates, trying to get guys focused and fired up at one point. So I'm encouraged by that, because the reality is Ryan Day doesn't know how long Lathan Ransom's going to be out. And when you're missing him and Josh Proctor, you're looking at a young secondary. There was no Denzel Burke available today. So Jermaine Matthews and Sonny Styles. Jordan Hancock obviously had a big moment in the game, but he's still getting more and more experience. Davison Igbinosun has played fine. But the Buckeyes had to show a little depth, and ultimately Malik Hartford played a lot today. Thought he played fine, but Ohio State would certainly rather have their first string out there.
No question about it. And it was really interesting, too. We talked about in the pregame, what we thought Rutgers was going to do when the initial injury report came out. And I was actually surprised. Like, Rutgers isn't a team that's going to try and pass the ball down the field. And we now know that for sure after watching them for 3 hours. But they did take their shots, and they had a couple opportunities. And that's something that, teams down the road, when they see this, and you're hopeful that these guys can come back in the secondary, but that they did find potentially a chink in the armor, right? Where it's like, hey, this is a potential area where we can try to expose this great defense. I mean, it's still, like, let's call it what it is. They are still very, very good, but it could be an opportunity for teams down the road to try to take advantage of Ohio State secondary if there is some long-term injuries.
Buckeyes 9-0 after a 35-16 win. Got home games coming up against Michigan State and Minnesota before a big one in Ann Arbor in 3 weeks. For all the latest news and information on Ohio State football, head over to BuckeyesNow.com and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.